update on that. But today I wanted to discuss solo queue because a lot of people have been talking about how Blizzard is planning to implement, I believe it's called like solo shuffle or something like that, or something shuffle. And that is basically Blizzard's way of addressing the problem of not being able to queue rated PvP as like in a solo sense, I guess, without needing to form a group through LFG. So how they're planning to do it, I'll give a brief overview. I don't totally understand the system myself, but I know a little bit about it. I know like from a general perspective how it works. So you're going to queue up solo, then you're going to be matched up, I think, with 4 players, and you're going to build different comps of 3, because it's still 3v3, with your different 4 players till every single player has played every composition combination possible, and your opponents have as well. So it's going to be like a 4-part or 5-part tournament or something like that. And then the team who wins more, the team of 4 players who wins more matches with their combinations, ends up on top. So to put it plainly, I think it's a very convoluted sounding system, and I don't know if that's the way that solo queue should have been implemented. Personally, it sounds really fucking complicated to me, and it also I don't know. I might do it streaming. It might be fun. But as far as how it's going to solve the problems that I think players are talking about, I don't know if it's going to do that. I think it's overall a good change because I am a proponent for wanting as many different game modes in WoW PvP, in rated PvP, as possible. I think that we should have a lot more different kinds of metas than just 2v2, 3v3, and 10v10. And in this video, I wanted to discuss possibly my favorite that would totally change World of Warcraft if it was implemented properly. And that is the 1v1 arena meta. So the game mode I would choose, and it happens to be a solo queue, is you queue in for rated 1v1, and you face one other player, and it's like a duel. Ever since playing Classic, the game had a huge community on my server and pretty much everywhere of duelers dueling outside of Ironforge. It's always been a big part of the game. You go to Goldshire on retail. I mean, it's not so much now because Alliance is kind of dead. But maybe if you play on Sargeras, maybe your Goldshire is lit or whatever. But I remember in Warlords of Draenor, Mists of Pandaria, hell, even like Legion and shit, it was a very lively PvP scene out there, and it was a fun way for people to, I think, enter PvP, because 1v1, a lot of the best players in the world started out doing 1v1s. They'll even tell you, I've seen so many videos of rank 1 players talking about them starting out PvP and learning the basics through dueling, and I think that it's one of those stepping stones that every really good player has to experiment with before they can really become ultra good at other forms of PvP. Because when you start to take it, into the 2v2 or 3v3, you're trying to outplay their entire team. But in 1v1, you're just looking to outplay the other person across from you. You know what I mean? So it is possibly my favorite form of PvP. Recently, I've gotten pretty high in 3v3. I managed to get Gladiator. I hit my all-time high score of 2,600. Keep in mind as well, 2,600 right now is not what 2,600 was 2.5 months ago, or 3 months ago when I hit 2,600. Now I'm kind of teetering around 2,600 in LFG. I tanked today, though, to 2,450 because I'm playing with people that I've never played before with, and also that I don't necessarily... I'm trying to say this nicely, but I don't think they're as good as the team I pushed with initially. So I feel like I would be a lot higher if I was still with that team, but I'm not. But I digress. Anyways, I've gotten pretty high in 3v3, and I feel like I do have like somewhat of a, like, I feel like I can have somewhat of an opinion on this. I'm not a rank 1 player, but I am a gladiator. And personally for me, 3v3 is really fun, and I think it's really complex and interesting how it works and everything and how complicated it is. But for newer players entering the game, it is very, very, very jarring to need to pay attention to 3 different players at the same time and have that level of awareness. And I think rated 1v1s would be really, really good for the game. It would help new players kind of enter the arena in a gladiatorial, like 1v1 setting where it's a lot easier for you to, I feel like, grasp what's happening. So I feel like it's better for new players, and you'd be able to cap conquest. If you're sitting at 1200 in 1v1s, it's not a bad thing. You're just, you know, you can queue up solo. You don't need partners. You don't have to sit in LFG. Everything is in your control. There's a lot less like community toxicity or like rage going on, because if you lose a 1v1, it's like there's no one else to blame. There's literally no one else to blame. You can blame Blizzard for your class sucking or something, because certain 1v1 matchups like are like skewed in a certain class's favor, but there's no like blaming your partners or any of that shit, and you don't have to rely on other people, which I personally really like, because it is the worst feeling when you feel like somebody's not playing how you feel like they should be playing, and you're trying not to be toxic, but it's coming across toxic, and it's not good. It's really not good. And so for me personally, 1v1s would be the best way for new players to enter arena. But also for me personally, I've always liked dueling. I would go so fucking hard if we had a rated 1v1 system. I personally, dueling has always been my favorite form of PvP, I think. Again, I like 3v3. I think 2v2 is a little cringe. Personally, I don't try with 2v2 because it's fucking stupid, just going against rogue mage and them just basically playing script against you and you are fucked. And so I'm personally not a huge fan of 2v2. I never have been. And then as far as RBGs, I do like RBGs, but I've never taken them really seriously. But I think they're good. I think they're good for the game, obviously. So yeah, so I feel like 1v1 is good for new players. I feel like it's good for anyone who wants to just improve their overall like feeling, like comfortability with their class, comfortability with CC, things like that, learning the basics of goes, because if you have your damage, they're going to be running away, maybe trying to kite behind the pillar, do a bunch of shit. And then when they're on you, you're going to learn how to react, maybe kite away, CC them during their go, shut them down, things like that. These are things that you're using in 3v3 as well. You're just doing them on multiple people at once, and it's on a larger scale. So I would personally love this meta. I think that this would be one of the best things to enter World of Warcraft. And I think they should have rating, like CR for it, rewards for it. You should have there should be a ladder, like a whole hierarchy system with it, where similar to like Gladiator, where you can get like titles for it, or like if you're in the top, like if you're a rank 1 1v1 dueler or whatever, or rated 1v1 player, then you get like a unique title for 1v1, because I don't think they should just be like because 2v2 doesn't have Gladiator, so 1v1 should get its own title. I feel like it should be its own like thing. But yeah. And so those are my pros. Any cons I could possibly see for this being in the game. Oh, and then my other pro is just very, very obviously, even if this is not even if this is not a game mode you personally would enjoy, my argument would be it's better for the overall game, because there would be more game modes to be able to play in general, which I would just argue is just inherently good for the game. More representation for more different kinds of players is just inherently good for the game, right? And then it would allow people to transition more into 3v3 and other game modes. So yeah, I feel like Like there isn't really a good argument to not have it, besides maybe the argument of, well, they would have to like tune 1v1, or like certain classes would be better than others, which yes, there, this is obvious. This is the case with any meta possible. In 2v2 there's comp stronger than every other comp, rogue mage. In 3v3 there's shit stronger than everything else right now. In, you know what I mean? And so no matter what you say, as far as like it being overpowered or anything like that, like, oh well, your certain classes would just be overpowered, it's like, then yeah, then just don't play that game mode. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's just, it's, there's not a good reason not to have it, and there's a bunch of good reasons to have it. Because I'm personally, man, I get bored. I get really bored just playing 3v3, 2v2, and 10v10. And before anybody says like, oh, well, what about Honor? You know, you can do the Brawl, or you can do the BGs. I do BGs sometimes, but I feel like an asshole too when I'm farming kids, because I don't like to follow the objectives in BGs. Actually, I'll join BGs personally just to fight people in 1v1 settings and just get kills and stuff. I'll literally be standing in mid because I don't care about BGs. I don't give a shit about that shit. So I feel like I'm not represented as a player for what I want to be doing. And so instead I'll join like 2v2 skirmishes and farm kids into the ground that have like no gear, because that's my only outlet for that form of content. For me personally, I do BGs, I do skirmishes when I am trying to just practice, or when I'm trying to just play the game. And, you know, when your team's not online, or you don't want to queue your main or whatever, like, I just, yeah, you do BGs and honor shit for that. But then I've had people whisper me and they're like, oh, well, dude, like, you're a gladiator full gear. Like, why are you doing, like, why are you playing in this fucking, why are you playing skirmishes? You know what I mean? Because I've farmed like the same team like 5 times in skirmishes before, and they were whispering me, and I'm like, yeah, like, sorry, dude, I'm just bored. Like, I'm literally just bored. I'm not trying to be a dick. So we started to just let them win so that they could get like their honor to gear out their alts or whatever. But yeah, so if I had 1v1, I feel like I would be playing 1v1 a bunch. It would be my favorite meta, and it's the most accessible form of rated PvP regardless. And it doesn't have the same flaws that solo shuffle does, because solo shuffle is going to be way more time invested every single fucking time you queue it. When you queue it, there's going to be like 5 games that have to happen before you win, before your team gets the win and you get conquest. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2, it doesn't actually give that much conquest, which that isn't really related to what I'm talking about necessarily, but I feel like rated 1v1, you'd be able to farm conquest a hell of a lot faster, because one game in rated 1v1 probably lasts about as long as one fucking match in solo shuffle. So 2 reasons for that so far. Then solo shuffle, you don't know who you're playing with, you can't vouch for their skill, you can't vouch for their comp. There's a whole bunch of random variables that you don't have control over, which when you join a 1v1, you do have control over everything. Actually, you have more control over 1v1 than you do really any other type of PvP. And I don't think there's really an argument against that you could come up with, because it's you're the only player in it. I know when I join a 1v1 that I am a gladiator level player and I'm going into a 1v1 against one other person. All I have to do is be more skilled than that one other person and I win. So yeah, I don't know. So those are my thoughts on that. Those are my thoughts on Blizzard's implementation of solo queue. I personally don't think I'm going to play a bunch of solo shuffle. It kind of looks weird, and I don't know. It's, if there's a rating associated with it, I might try to push it and play it, but it's just a lot of weird random shit. Like, you don't know who you're going to get, you don't know what comps you're going to get. Part of the mystery of that is kind of fun and interesting, but the other part of that is like, how are you going to realistically be a 2700 shuffle brawl shuffler or whatever the fuck, solo shuffler, and reliably get good comps? Because like, if I'm demo and I queue up and I get like a fucking rep paladin, like, I'm fucked. Like, I am fucked. There's a lot of comps that you don't really want to, or a lot of fucking, yeah, comps you don't want to play as demo, that are just dog shit. So, or you queue up and somebody sandbags, like somebody just DCs, or I don't know, man. Like I guess anyone could DC anyways, but you queue up and someone's like, oh well, I'm playing a tank. Like I wouldn't want a tank on my team. And I know that Blizzard has addressed this by saying that tanks will automatically be counted for the healer slot on your team. But imagine getting a fucking tank over an actual healer. I'd be like, bro, get the fuck out. Like, why'd you queue as tank? So, I don't know. No one wants a fucking prot paladin on their team over an H paladin. No one wants, like, or dude, imagine this: you queue up as a fucking tank warrior, and that counts as your healer. You're playing as rogue mage, fucking prot pal, like, or prot warrior. Prot warrior can't even heal the team. So how does that work? Like, there's so many logistical errors, I think, in it that make it like really sketchy. And I think by the time they've tuned this out, it's going to be the next fucking expansion. So we're probably not seeing solo queue yet, but I think if they implemented 1v1 rated right now, it has legs to stand on. Like, the meta, sure, it would probably be a little cranked or whatever, but the meta right now could support it. But with that, there's too much guesswork and random variables. I think that they should just add rated 1v1. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Tell me if I'm wrong, or tell me how much you agree if you agree. But I'm glad to be back. Expect more content soon. And I'll start streaming fucking fairly regularly from now on, I think. So yeah, just a little side note for everybody who follows me consistently, and a little update. But thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed already and you like my content, consider doing so. Trying to get to 1,000. And until next time, guys, cheers, and I'll see you on stream. Peace.